Chapter 14. The Bondage of the Will? Luther was unquestionably the leading figure in the Reformation at this time, and the one to whom Protestants today owe the largest debt. Although many others before him had opposed Rome, Luther was the first to publish and distribute his challenge throughout Europe. Rome had always been able to silence her critics with bribery or death. Now she faced a man who could not be bought, and whose telling arguments had aroused so many powerful local rulers in his favor that her vengeful grasp could not reach him. The Pope had one last hope, that the arguments put forth by Erasmus and widely published by Luther's enemies would persuade the masses who had defected to return to the shelter of the one true Church. After all, although Erasmus had criticized the Church, he had not been martyred, had not left her fold, and was still on the best of terms with the Pope. And it was he who was pointing out Dr. Luther's errors. That a reformation was needed, even the Church was willing to concede. But it was the kind Erasmus and others favored, a correction of acknowledged abuses, not a trashing of the traditions of centuries to start all over again from nothing. The arguments Erasmus presented were powerfully persuasive to those who wanted to remain within the ancient fold. He was writing from a Roman Catholic perspective, defending Catholic dogma, a tactic calculated to strengthen Catholics in their beliefs, but which would hardly be effective for those who had already embraced Luther's rebellion. Perhaps all Erasmus intended to accomplish was to flatter those who could reward him the most. We do not defend Erasmus, for much that he says is even less biblical than some of Luther's irrationalities. Although he had rejected the efficacy of sacraments and her other pagan practices in his past satires, Erasmus is still bound to Rome's heresy that grace aids man in achieving salvation by works. He writes, "It does not follow that man cannot prepare himself by morally good works for God's favor." Sadly, Erasmus was wrong when it came to salvation, no matter how insightful his other criticisms of Rome. It is because man has already morally failed to keep God's law, and cannot mend that breach by keeping it thereafter, no matter how perfectly, that he needs grace, God's unmerited favor, for which no preparation is required or effective.